What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is GBL97 and today I'll be showing you how to use constraints again, but this time it's going to be a little bit more advanced. Now previously I showed you how to use constraints, but it was more basic. I showed you just how to align horizontally down the middle, but today I'm going to show you how to really pinpoint it where you want it exactly, how to put it in certain corners, and let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is open up your Xcode project. If you've been following along, you should have a folder and a file that looks like this. If not, just create a new one, it's fine. I already have mine open just to save time. Now, with our first step, if you've been following along, you know my method, and it's from top to bottom, left to right, when you set constraints. So with the first step, what we do is we look at what's at the top. Now we have two objects. We have a label and a button. So we already did our first part. We did top to bottom. We did that. Now left to right, so that means we're going to start at the label. Alright, so once you have the label, you're going to go ahead and click Add New Constraints right here. And you're going to notice that there's something called Constraint to Margins. Now if it's checked, you want to make sure you uncheck that, because when that's checked, it's going to put a certain space on your view, so it's gonna be moved incorrectly, and you don't want that to happen. So just make sure that's unchecked, and just do a pin from the top and to the left. So what this is saying right here is no matter how big or how small your iPhone screen is, when it gets deployed, it's going to be just 4 from the top and 16 from the left. Alright? Now the next thing you want to do is make sure width and height are selected. You want to do add 4 constraints. Now you'll notice that you're going to have blue lines and something that says constraints on the side. So we're looking good right now. Everything's good. It's blue. Now, the next thing is you want to go to the button. You want to do exactly what we just did with the label, just opposite. So what I mean by opposite is instead of pinning to the left, you just want to pin to the top and pin to the right. But you'll notice that constraint to margins is checked again. And when we uncheck that, that value right here just changed from 0 to 16. And that makes a huge difference, because if we were to do that, it's going to move a lot more to the side, and it's just not going to look the same. So let's go ahead and pin to the top and pin to the right this time. And we're going to go ahead and do width and height. And the reason why we do width and height is because that button is going to keep its width and height no matter how big the screen is. If you were to leave, let's say, the width or the height unmarked or unchecked, it's going to just look different all the time on each screen. So you want to make sure you really lock that down if you want to. So that's good. Now let's go ahead and run this. Now what I did actually, I think I forgot to mention, was I changed this view right here to iPhone SE just so I can fit this whole view here for you guys so you can see. And I actually added already a segmented control, a slider, or I mean a switch and a slider. And you can do the same thing. It doesn't have to look exactly the same. You can just scatter around whatever you like. But for the sake of video, I would recommend doing that so you can really get the constraints down and make it look exactly how I did it. So go ahead and do that. And I also put the simulator on iPhone 6 so you can see that even though I have a bigger screen on the simulator and I'm designing it on iPhone 5 here, it's going to look the same no matter what. So let's go ahead and do that. Just give it a few seconds to build and run. Okay, so there we go. We already set these constraints, and you'll notice there's something different here. And what do you think's different? Well, on our design, since we didn't put constraints on any of these, even though they look good here, they look like in the corners, look what it looks like on the iPhone 6 simulator. They're not in the right spots, and that's because we haven't put constraints yet. So now that we know that the button and the label look good, exactly how we did it, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step, which is the slider. And why are we doing the slider? Well, when we do from top to bottom, that's the next object down that we haven't touched yet. So let's do the slider. Let's go ahead and just take that away so we have more space to work with. And let's do the slider. Okay, so let's go ahead and add new constraints again and uncheck that. We're going to go ahead and put this from the left now because it's closest to the left. And let's go ahead and just follow the label, okay? Because we want to do top to bottom. We're working from top to bottom. And since we already did top, these already have constraints. So you want to connect it right here. We're going to go ahead and pin it 90 from the top, our neighbor, closest neighbor. Now let's just do width and height again. Okay, so that's blue. Now for the text field, since it's completely in the middle, that's where we want it. What you can do for this, actually, is it's actually really easy. All you have to do is horizontally and vertically and add 2 constraints. Now you'll notice that the width has changed because we haven't locked that down. So if you want to lock down the width, go ahead and give it a fixed width, but let's go ahead and actually redo this now. So let's go ahead and just select that, clear constraints. You want to open this back up again. Do that. And now if you click it, go ahead and lock down the height and the width. And now, you'll notice it's red, but go ahead and just do horizontally and vertically. And now it's automatically going to update the frames. It's automatically going to be put where it's going to be shown. And everything's blue now. Everything looks good. We got our size, we got it horizontally, and we got it vertically. Now the next step, we're going to go ahead and just do the segmented control. And what do you think we're going to do? Well, we're going to follow the same steps we've done before at the top. And we're going to go ahead and just uncheck constrain the margins. We're going to do bottom and left this time because it's closest to the bottom here, closest to the left. It's on the left side. So go ahead and pin those. Go ahead and choose height and width again. And that looks good. Everything's blue. Now the last thing that we have is, uncheck that. We have the switch last. We go ahead and copy the same method that we used before. And yeah, okay, let's run it now. Let's see what it looks like. So as you can see, when we ran it before on the iPhone 6 simulator, those the text field and the 2 bottom ones, I believe, didn't look correct. They didn't look good. They weren't in the corners. They were lifted up, and they weren't placed well. So now when we put those constraints, they should work correctly, and it goes to show that it does. This one's put on the bottom. We have this on the corner. We have this directly in the middle. We have this here. We have a button and text here, and a label, I mean. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys start getting the hang of constraints, how to really use them. I know when I first started off, it was really hard to work with, and people didn't really have good tutorials to really show you how to use them. So hopefully this video clarifies it, and just like my video, guys, please subscribe and check out my other videos. I'll see you guys soon.